is there higher insight into what is happening just with gender identity? At one point years ago, we're like, okay, maybe it's the masculine and feminine and this balancing of the masculine and feminine and starseeds and, maybe the non-binary and the gender neutral, but it's not that anymore, in my opinion. There may be a lot of these kids that are experiencing such things, but the blatant, agenda is too much. So I'm just, where are you on that, or where are they on that, or?
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm receiving in this is that, it's not so cut and dry, right? It's not
Right.
again, it's not like a one size fits all in this. There are many, many souls who have chosen to incarnate here at this now time that have come in with the divine blueprint and purpose of shifting gears or shifting genders, within their experience here for the purpose of many, many, many things. And one sort of column of that would be to what you spoke to, of bringing a balance and harmonization to the resurrecting of divine union, of the highest expression of divine father, divine mother, and divine child, right? The Trinity Codex. And they come in with such a huge system, both of ancestral imprint and collective imprint of the imbalance and the separation and the women against men and women against women and men against men programming. And it's very intricate, and it's very I will just say it's very intricate is what I'm seeing in this. So they absolutely have come in here, and they've come in here and they hold within their DNA and within the imprint, lots and lots and lots of collective ancestral imprints of this imbalance, right? Of the false patriarchal systems of, and all the many ways. And so they have come in with this divine blueprint and to do this. Now, of course, those who are not wearing the blindfold, the beings that have largely been puppeteering the human collective, if you will, and continuing to create and create and create and create and create more and more and more and more and more and more infrastructures and systems and matrices within the matrices of fear and separation. New, of course, because they have 0 point access to some degree through AI technologies and inorganic technologies, not through the many of them, I should say, not through the original source seeds of the high heart, the original Adam seed of the high heart, as humans do, right? Because they've diluted that or have genetically modified themselves out of it through warring frequencies and different layers and levels of what we could perhaps refer to as corruptive participation, which is one of the reasons why they continue to hold and create all these programs to keep the human collective in this imprisonment system, so that the humans will continue to give away their life force energy, their chi, to fear programs, which then powers up and generates these collectives, right? As they work diligently to create AI technology to attempt to assimilate the Adam seed, the source seed that exists within us. And they've been doing it for a millennium. And that's where, when previously asked the question about the impact of, of our behavior, if you will, our here, this is where the beings of the original creational codex of humanity and of the universal system here of Gaia, etc., have now sort of stepped back into greater participation to bring back harmonization and balance through this collective ascension that we're undergoing right now, that we're experiencing, right? There's harmony and balance to be restored. There is sort of a saturation point of the level of duality and warring and polarity that's taking place here before an irreparable experience of destruction takes place, whereby, there's a wiping out, if you will, like such a catastrophic wiping out. That's not to happen. That's not to happen through all the layers of participation that is here and now. So a lot of unwinding, a lot of unweaving. And how does that take place? Well, the creational codex, and this is a very generalized way of bringing this in, but the creational construct and codex of this experience as an earth incarnate requires one to be a physical avatar and incarnate here. So to be able to create great change within the ancestral body, the human collective template or matrices, excuse me, and even within the soul imprint in participation as it, with the human experience, one must, at this point in time, one must incarnate, physically incarnate here. The system has to be alchemized from within to adhere to the construct of what was initially and held to some degree in its integrity of free will here, as well as many other sort of layers of creational law and order that were put into participation. So that said, there's only one way in and back home into wholeness and unity, and that's for all these different beings, ourselves included, to come here with a unique blueprint to incarnate and to begin having the experience, igniting all these coordinates, bringing them online and into participation. And then at some particular point in time, and everybody's unique in this way, to begin to awaken and begin to peel away the layers of the onion, if you will, or come back and bring the fractals of self back into wholeness. And in that wholeness is the resurrection of our crystalline template, of our Christos template. And in the resurrection of that, which is inclusive of our monadic template, AKA the embodiment of heaven on earth, or our oversoul embodied, is the ability, is the bringing in, the bringing home, and the igniting out in all directions, the massive bandwidth of our source self. So many of these beings, many of these diamond beings, these crystal beings, and there's a whole layer of different ways in which one could describe generationally, collectively, these different beings that are coming in right now. Many of them come in with that blueprint to have that experience. Now, speaking to what you're seeing and have been seeing with a lot of the technologies that have come into play, and a lot of the up leveling and ramping up of frequencies of distortion, confusion, manipulation, and suffering, along with a lot of other, let's say, bioweapons, etc., that have come into participation, right? Bioweapon is a large range of things. Immediately, I'm sure many come to the vaccine technology, but even beyond that and far before that is all the genetically modified foods, are the frequencies that are coming in through the windows to our oversoul, through AI technologies, through TikTok, through all these different, social media platforms, through TV, etc. I mean, it's ramping up with every generation of new AI technology is an increased bandwidth of cellular manipulation. And then the networks of 5G, etc., are scrambling and creating the perfect substrate for even greater manipulation and genetic modification and distortion, right? So there's so many different layers and levels to this. So what I hear from source and highest source self in this now moment is the greatest way to participate in this grand sea of what seems chaos and unknown, but really at the same time is a complete reconfiguration and resurrection, right? For you to really get clear in your deep knowing and trusting who you are and why you're here and what you're meant to share. And the best way that we can bring that message out and allow for it to speak its highest sort of vibrational reach is to do it through a place of absolute neutrality and non-mooring, to know and to feel into what am I receiving right now in this now moment in regards to this, what you've brought forth, which is clearly very important to your blueprint here, or you wouldn't be having the level of participation and curiosity around it, right? So getting neutral. When we get neutral, we get clear. When we get clear, we send out clear. When we send out clear, it's clearly received. When it's clearly received, we have no expectation or attachment to what is done with it, but you've planted the seeds. And now you know, okay, I've completed this part of my devotion here. I've spoken, that which I meant to speak in this now moment. I have no preconceived notions. I have no warring frequency around this. I trust above all else, and above all else that is taking place here, that every single individuation, every single human being that comes here is an eternal being, a sovereign being. They know on a level perhaps, far beyond their own conscious knowing, a great plan is in play, right? A great symphony is orchestrating here. So trusting in the divine perfection of all of it, and trusting, and where the message becomes even bigger, brighter, clearer, more deliverable and accessible, is you trusting in yourself and trusting in who you are and why you're here, and trusting, in that which you know to be your blueprint. Because when you do that, that's more omnipotent perhaps than anything else, because you send that invitation out into the quantum field to allow for them to find their true north, their core essence, above all the layers and levels of manipulation and interfacing and, and it's always there. No one can take that away. It's always there. It's just how many layers have we accumulated? How many systems of chaos and distortion have we endeavored and imprinted, right? It's always there. It's always accessible. It's just some people it's more accessible, and some people it's more challenging to get to based upon all the different levels of what they've participated in, right? So the more you can come in and show up and just bring in the message and bring in the tools which you have an abundance of, and in the different ways, knowing that everybody's different and everybody's going to need and desire a different combination of tools and resources to find that that home base, right? That true north, that 0 point within. And also some beings, they've set it up where they don't want to come to that place yet. They have a lot of density that they've set out to accumulate and to pack on. But make no mistake, every single seed that is dropped in will have its time to further ignite and grow and expand in accordance to their blueprint, right? So no seed planted is a waste of energetic currency.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah. I mean, and I'm grateful for what has felt like urgency at several times. And it's mainly to just bring in trusted parents that know me and know my intention of non-judgmentalness, to open this space to share what is too fearful to speak even to their kids, or but with each time I hold back, it's like another layer of my own. First, it's my own fear of why I'm even afraid to speak. Like, where's that coming from? And then just layers of my own acceptance of sexuality. And so it's each layer and each layer and each layer. And I know it's not neutral yet. And it's pushing me to really own my own stuff. I can identify with the pain. I can identify with the confusion. I can identify with all that. And I'm not quite there yet to not hold my own pain. So it's really interesting to play with.
Well, I hear very loud and clear when you share your story authentically, transparently, with full love, acceptance, embrace, celebration, and the deep reverence and revelation, and knowing that it is immaculate perfection and that you are immaculate perfection. All of that pain, I just saw 1,000 doves releasing from your heart center. All that pain, all that shame, all those programs, right? Circling back to Lucia's, question about guilt and shame and programming and For you to embody that is a massive, massive, massive pillar of invitation for everybody else to embody all the unique nuances of their own experience and their own blueprint here. I heard very loudly and very clearly, one way to be able to do it is to birth a book, a written transmission. Share your story, share all the nuances of it, with free of all guilt, free of all shame, free of any and all parts of you that are in resistance and celebration of the immaculate perfection of you. Why do you think you came in with this blueprint? For this exact moment in time, for this very conversation, and for all things that take place beyond this conversation. And then that would be a beautiful way to segue into the channeling of all the layers and levels of what you've seen and know through a neutral and expansive lens of engaging and bringing forth the invitation for all that are, in the depths of that participation and, right now. So you don't even have to, you just hand them a book. Here you go, mom and dad, here's the story, and let them decide. I guarantee you it's going to be life altering, alchemical, whether it's relatable to their personal experience or not. The time is now with that. So, and the level of weightedness that will be released through this experience for you will be beyond ecstasy, beyond euphoria.
I get little glimpses of that, and every now and then I see a little bit, and it's motivating to not shove it under a carpet.
Yeah, enough of that.
Yeah,
it's coming to the surface, and everything, full transparency. So we either torture ourselves some more until we finally surrender into the full acceptance of our blueprint and celebration of our blueprint and celebration of every single now moment that we have curated consciously and unconsciously here. We can either celebrate it, or we will feel the energetic tug of war of it hanging on our apron strings, trying to make its way back home to our heart center. I mean, I don't see it any other way. I've been seeing the same and hearing the same for a decade now. It's whatever we hide from can no longer be hidden, right? We can still participate, but there even come a time when the collective bandwidth reaches a certain precipice of ascension and, up-leveling of consciousness, that it will be too much to hold. So why not enjoy and celebrate, like you're saying, like the experience that you shared earlier? Why not meet ourselves in that place of immaculate courage, grace, acceptance, and love in the 0 point as the witnessing presence, and get it done now, right? So that we can hold more space, beacon out more light, be the witnessing presence of the witnessing presence of the witnessing presence, right? And assisting with all the different tools and layers and levels of our journey, so that all those who have, imprinted it within their blueprint to kind of come into, as everything keeps ramping up, it's like, here you go, here's some tools, here you go, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely am looking forward to going back, and I don't have it here. Going back and listening, even the one thing you just said about every lifetime, every incarnation. I mean, I have this written somewhere. I was just looking, like every incarnation has prepared me for this moment. And hearing you say that, like, yeah, what seems like major confusion and pain and fear, and being reminded of that is pretty intense. It makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
I mean, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We let that go and dissolve it. And we just sent out the navigational system and the blueprint for everybody else that's going through that. So think of it like that, the more of that you release and the more fractals that you bring home, and you're helping each and every one of those beings. They're sovereign, they have free will, we have no expectation, but now the quantum field holds a whole new frequency band of invitation, right? And your embodiment, and here as a chess piece and an avatar in a column, continuing to participate and continuing to expand and continuing to, radiate your light out. Whoa, that's the greatest service to all beings. And sometimes, I won't even use the word unfortunately, sometimes we have to have a greater understanding of to what degree and impact our own journey home is for the good of all, right? It's not a savior complex, because everybody is here to save themselves. But the more of us that put our oxygen mask on, come home, illuminate, let go of all the pain, let go of all the suffering, and hold a clear and immaculate field of I am presence. Watch out.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate everybody's taking this in too.
Yeah. Well, it's everything that you've brought in is relatable and absolutely relevant to each one of us in our own unique way. We're all one, we're all part of the whole here. So, and this is a big, what you brought through, and all that was brought through as a result of it can be, looked at and reflected on in many different systems of distortion that are present and palpating and, and participating right now. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.